today on the chapters, I have LK Farlow. Kate, thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So what have you been working on during this?
I've been working on a book called Sweet Little Nothing, and it is unlike anything I've ever written. Most people know me and they think of like sweet southern small town swoon, and this is a darker bully book. So I'm a little nervous, but I'm a lot excited.
Yeah. So what's it about? What can you share about it right now?
Yeah. So it is about, I'm trying to think, let me think of, like, I can write the book. Don't ask me to tell you about the book. Oh my God, I get so awkward and clam up. But no, so it's about a girl named Emmeline, and she has suffered some pretty traumatic abuse at the hands of someone who should have been, someone she could trust. And basically when she finally gets pushed too far, when things get taken too far, she tries to get help, and everyone pretty much doesn't believe her, tell her she's a liar. No one believes her. Like, her own mother doesn't believe her. They all say she's lying and that he didn't really hurt her. And so she leaves and goes to college, and she comes from a very well-off family. And so at the college she's at, her stepbrother is her abuser, and his best friend is getting his master's degree at that college and is a TA in one of her classes. Her stepbrother pretty much is like, if you're really my friend, you'll help me get revenge against her. She ruined my life, even though she didn't. And so the whole story is like him kind of trying to get that revenge, but also questioning, is it worth it? Is this the truth?
Gotcha.
And that probably sounds really boring.
No, it doesn't at all. It doesn't.
I'm so bad at this.
No, you're fine. Wow. Let me see the front. Nice.
Yeah.
And so when does this come out?
This comes out March 18th.
Nice. So is it a standalone, or is it going to be part of a series?
It will be part of a series, but each book will stand alone.
Okay.
So like interconnected.
Gotcha. I like those kind of stories, because it's like you can, I write the same way. It's like almost like I feel bad. I don't want to make people feel like they have to, but
right.
I want them to come back, So you wrote a story. I haven't pulled this out in a while. You wrote a short story in here. Something Wonderful. Are you going to expand that story?
I definitely want to expand on that story. I have it plotted and planned. I'm just trying to figure out when to write it. I love Dane and Dots from that story. They're some of my favorite characters I've written.
So was that concept hard? How we got one line to start with. Was that hard for you?
When I first read the line, I was like, what the heck am I supposed to say? And I was just like, I obsessed over it for like weeks. And then I was like, you know what? Stop being stupid. Just write it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love where it took me. And I love how unique, like, we all ended up somewhere so completely different.
Right. I thought the same thing. It was the line. I think I sat on it for a good month going, what in the world what am I supposed to do with that?
Right.
I think I came up with 3 or 4 different things, and I would just get stuck. I couldn't push past it. And then one day it just kind of clicked, I was like,
yes.
Oh my God. Because I was like, man, I gotta get this thing turned in.
Right. No, I loved it so much. I love that story so much. I was like, I thought I had 10,000 words, and they were like, no. And I was like, what? What do I do? It was fun though.
Yeah. And it was, and I love that, it's hard to write in such a small, I think we had 8,000 words, didn't we?
Yes. Yes.
And, and to try to keep yourself, because at first it seems so daunting, and then you start and you're like, oh, wait a second, I only have 8,000.
Yes.
Because
really I've never written anything that condensed.
Yeah.
And so it was a challenge. And I'm not a wordy author to start with. My books are on the shorter side. Like, I don't think I've ever written more than 72,000 words in a book.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, huh.
So yours, Something Wonderful. You said you got it plotted and everything. What's keeping you from moving forward on that one right now?
The amount of other books in my head.
Yeah. So how do you work with that?
It's interesting. So I have probably at least my next 9 books roughly planned.
You know, I don't know if you keep like kind of a journal or something with all your ideas, and it's hard to stop yourself sometimes when you get this idea and you got to get as much of it down, and then you're like, okay,
Yes.
but now where do I go? Which one do I move forward with? How do you work through that to determine which one you do?
I picked whichever characters are speaking to me the most.
Yeah.
Whoever's going to cooperate with me is who's getting written. Basically.
So when you're writing a book that's going to have follow-up stories, and like you said, they're standalones within a series, how do you deal with like readers who are like ready, you know, because sometimes I know a lot of people put out the series and kind of work on a series, you know, but if a character from a different story is speaking to you, are your readers, you know, pretty patient, cooperative with that?
I think they are. I think at the end of the day, this applies to most readers, and it's that they would rather have a story that has the author's heart behind it. You know what I mean? A story that has my heart and my passion is going to read and be so much better than a story I wrote because someone wanted me to write it. And I think that makes a big difference creatively. It's kind of like, I love to read, but the minute someone tells me you have to read this book, I will do everything except read it.
Yeah. That's
so
exactly.
If it's like, that's why I don't think
that.
I could ever do like traditional publishing. If someone was like, you have to write this book, you have to have it to me by this date, I would just run away. I would run away.
Okay, so that brings up a question. Exactly. I completely am with you on that. So did you immediately, like, was indie your way? Didn't even consider traditional?
Yes, never considered it.
I think there's something to be, you know, like, I think it's awesome when someone gets a traditional, you know, contract or whatever. I think it's amazing. I mean, I think it'd be cool to one time have that, but I'm like you know, the moment you tell me I have to do it, my passion for it goes away.
Correct.
You know, I always said in college I worked well with deadlines, but it was in my procrastinating, you know, it was just at the last minute.
I work well with self-imposed deadlines, and even then I don't work that well. My editor will be the first to tell you when I'm like, hey, I'm sending you the first half of this book. I promise I'll get you the second half. And she's like, okay, Kate. Awesome.
So I asked you what you're working on right now, which is, and so this book is done. It's just now.
Well, no, not done. I have about like 15,000 more words to write, and it went to editing on Monday. So.
Are you exclusive on Amazon, or do you
put
it everywhere?
I do publish exclusive to Amazon with Kindle Unlimited.
Okay.
So
is that all your books are Kindle
all
Unlimited?
Of my books, yes.
Okay. And what made you, I mean, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, I can take this out,
mind.
but what made you decide to go exclusive Amazon?
So before I was an author, obviously, I was a very avid reader. I'm still a very avid reader. And when I say avid, I can read 2 books in a day. Mm-hmm. So financially, as a reader, Kindle Unlimited allowed me to do that. And so it was mostly what I knew. And then, you know, the authors that I became friends with, I found them through Kindle Unlimited. So the people who mentored me along the way, that's what they used. So I was like, well, I mean, obviously it works. I very much used it as a reader.
Yeah.
And I know that sometimes I would be more likely to, you know, try a book by a new author in Kindle Unlimited because I will never return a book I buy. I just can't bring myself to do that ever, not ever. Like, even if I buy it by mistake, I'm just going to keep it.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing more crushing as an author than seeing that return on your dashboard.
Yes.
It hurts.
Yes.
So Kindle Unlimited allows me to try, you know, new authors. And I think that it helps people be willing to take a chance on me too. So.
And so when did you start writing?
My first book came out in 17 or 18. I'm incredibly embarrassed that I cannot remember. One of the two.
And was it what made you decide to do it?
So I've always enjoyed writing. Always. I've always written, you know, little poems, and wow, I said that word really weird. But like, you know, in middle school and high school, I always took creative writing. It's just always something I've enjoyed. And I've just always had this, the first book I wrote, I always had like this idea kicking around in my head. And I'm like, I wish someone would write a book like this. God, I wish someone would write a story like this. And so one of my really good friends was like, why don't you write it? And I was like, no, I couldn't do that. She was like, why not? And I'm like, no, I'm not an author. And now here we are. Book number 11 is about to come out. Apparently I am an author.
There you go. That's awesome. So thank you again so much for joining us today. And I can't wait for the new book, which is Sweet Little Nothing, comes out March 18th exclusively on Amazon.
Yes.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.